city of Lezhë has an extremely long-standing history, with known settlements dating back to at least the 8th century BC. Although there were Illyrians already living there, a Greek colony was also founded on the site and was given the name Lissos. In these centuries before Christ, people were pretty keen on fighting for land, and given Lissos' strategic positioning on the Adriatic Sea, it spent periods of time being ruled by the Greeks, Macedonians, Illyrians, and Romans. Sometimes more than one of these groups reigned at the same time. As of the last census, the population of the municipal unit was 15,510, but it's important to note that that was conducted back in 2011. Current estimates suggest that the population would be around 18 or 19,000 as of today. This proves how the city is growing despite the overall population decline in Albania. Some suggested reasons for this are its proximity to the port of Shëngjin and its central positioning on the national highway between Tirana and the border of Montenegro. On a more personal note, one of the hardest things about living in Albania is being more than 15,000 kilometres away from my friends and family. I quite seriously live on the other side of the world, literally. One day, I stumbled upon this website where you could type in a city and it would tell you the furthest city in the world from where you are. Living in Tirana, I'm pretty close to as far away from my family as I could possibly be, whilst still living on Earth. Between 2015 and 2018, I didn't see any of my family members at all. Yup, 3 years without any face-to-face contact with my own flesh and blood. It was just too far, too expensive, and too difficult for all of us. My parents finally came to visit in 2018, and despite being determined to hate it here and convince me to come home, they just couldn't. They were too pleasantly surprised. This year things got even better. My sister had a baby and decided it was time to come and visit me with my nephew in tow. Not only that, her partner came, along with my other sister and her partner and my mum. My dad stayed home though because he suffers a bit from grumpy old man syndrome. As such, for today's episode, I am extremely delighted to feature some very, very, very special guests. So, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce you to some of my family members who you first got a glance of in the first episode of the series. So we have come on a very special city tour of Lezhë, thanks to our good friends at City Taxi for bringing us here. I have some very, very, very special guests today. It's my very own family who've come to Albania. One of my sisters has been here a few times. The other one, it's her first visit here. And today I'm going to be showing them around Lezhë and getting them to learn all about Skanderbeg. So we'll be visiting his tomb. We're going to check out the castle back here. And once we get back to Tirana, I'm going to quiz them on what they have learned. So why don't we get you to get to know them a little bit better and give them a bit of an introduction. Are you ready? Let's go.
Okay, hello, my name's Cara. I am from Australia and this is my third time in Albania. I live in France now with my boyfriend.
My name is Sebastian. I come from Colombia and we live in France and I'm a student there. And this is my second time in Albania and I'm very happy to be here. I love this country and the people.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and this is my first time in Albania. And this is my partner, Gianluca.
Hi, my name is Gianluca. I'm also Australian and also my first time in Albania and Tirana. And so far, so good.
Whilst gallivanting around Tirana with them was super fun, I wanted to show off a bit. I mean, I am the youngest sibling after all. Considering myself as somewhat of an expert on Skanderbeg, given my recent trip to Korea, I decided to impart some of my knowledge and wisdom on them. As such, I decided to take them to Lezhë, a town in the northwest of Albania, famous for being the place where the national hero Gjergj Kastrioti Skanderbeg was laid to rest, as you would have learned from last week's episode. We'll be keeping a bit of focus today on the importance of the town during the time of Skanderbeg, and I intend to teach my family a thing or two about Albania's national hero. But before bombarding them with this information, I thought, why not let them do a little sightseeing? And so, off we trekked to Lygia Castle. sitting at an elevation of 322 metres and originating from Illyrian times. Due to its numerous restorations and renovations over the centuries, it bears traces of Illyrian, Roman, Byzantine and Ottoman architecture. But most importantly, the views from the castle are incredible. Ta-da! These are the special guests that I mentioned earlier, my two sisters and their partners. Say hello.
Hello.
We are here in Lezhë at Lygia Castle to explore the city, the ancient city of Lezhë, and also, do you know why else we are here?
No idea.
Okay. We are going to learn about the national hero of Albania, Lezhë Skanderbeg. Ever heard that name before?
Nope.
Are they on the news? Okay. So he is the national hero of Albania and we'll learn a bit more about him today. And I have to tell you that you actually need to listen to everything that's going on because when we get back to Tirana, guess what?
What?
I'm going to quiz you on it.
Okay.
So I know I'm a teacher, but I'm not going to give you a written test or anything. We're going to make a bit of a game show out of it. But I will warn you, there are repercussions for wrong answers.
And prizes for good answers.
Yes, let's say yes.
Okay.
So, what are your first impressions of Lezhë?
It's beautiful. I mean, yeah, the nature, everything.
Countryside.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Nice people.
We get a pretty good view from
Hospitality.
here. We certainly have made, we've certainly attracted a bit of attention today in our yellow taxis from City Taxi and wandering around with a blonde person, clearly foreign. So has it been unwelcome, the kind of attention that you've been getting, or?
No, very hospitable.
Yeah, super friendly. Everyone's been super friendly so far.
Yeah, you feel like home.
Nice, nice. So for you guys, this is your first time in Albania, your second day here,
Yeah.
first adventure out of Tirana. What are your impressions of the country as a whole so far?
I think it's been unexpectedly beautiful. It's been a pleasure to get here so far.
Yay! Good feedback. I'm happy to hear it, and hopefully the rest of your trip is good. So, are you all ready to go and learn about Lezhë Skanderbeg?
Okay, ready.
Okay, vámonos!
Vamos.
All right, learning time. Let's head towards the tomb of Skanderbeg and help my family get up to scratch on all there is to know about the national hero. As much of an expert as I consider myself to be, I actually hadn't been here before, so I decided to meet with a guide who could give us a bit more insight than what I could find on Wikipedia.
So welcome. As I said this is the Cathedral of St. Nicholas. It is from the 14th century, has taken the name from the moral there, St. Nicholas. It is the saint that defend the poor people. And Santa Claus after was based to this saint to create his figure. In this cathedral, George Castrioti has gathered all the tribes, all the Albanians into March 1444 and created a league of Lezhë. And the League of Lezhë was a political and military alliance against the Ottoman Empire. Also was the first union of the people of Albania in the direction of Skanderbeg.
Here she's talking about the League of Lezhë, which we teased you with last week. As our guide explained, the League of Lezhë was a political alliance. Basically, the Ottoman Empire was able to establish itself so well in the Balkans because, at the time of the 15th century, there were a number of small principalities that were so busy fighting with each other that they couldn't really defend themselves from the Ottomans. Skanderbeg basically unified these Christian leaders in order to stand a chance in the battle against the invading Ottomans. As a result, the Unified League in fact won 5 major battles against the Ottomans.
And the second is that he was buried here in 17 January 1468. He was buried here, but the bones of him are not here, because 10 years after his death, a group of Ottoman soldiers came here, took the bones, made in small pieces, wrapped with gold or silver, and as used as talismans, because they believed that we'll be strong like Skanderbeg was. The shields represent the battles of Skanderbeg. Each shield is one battle of him. It's the place and the year for each battle that he made. Here are 25, because they want to show the 25 years that he fought against the Ottoman Empire. These are the the copies, the replicas, because the originals of the weapons of George Castle the Skanderbeg are in Wien in Austria, and the original of this, it is 121 centimeters, 3.2 kilo, and it is used only in ceremonies. And the helmet is in 3 kilo. It has the symbol of the goat, because the goat was the saint symbol that was used in ancient times from Illyrians. Albanians are descendants from Illyrians.
Remember that rumour about him being 163 centimetres? Many people say it couldn't possibly be true because of the size of his sword. Do you think someone short could wield a sword that weighs 3.2 kilograms and measures 121 centimetres?
Did you know anything about Skanderbeg at all?
Skanderbeg.
She goes on to explain the story we told you last week about how Skanderbeg was taken hostage by the Ottomans and trained as one of their fighters, all the while plotting his revenge.
So it was almost like he went and as he was learning all about the Ottoman Empire and how they fought.
He learned everything, but all the time he was planned how to come here.
So there are a lot of these shields. You said that each one is an individual battle. What were some of the most famous battles that he fought?
It depends, because if you see from, if in strategy, you have to say the first one, because when they won the first one, the Battle Torviol is called in Albania, it was in 29 July 1444. It is very important because when the Albanians were gathered together in the League of Lezhë, they were a little unbelievable about it will be in the future. And when they win the Battle of Torviol, so they had the heart that everything will be okay.
It looks like there was quite a few battles for Kulja.
Three.
So you've actually been to Korea? Yeah, remember when we went up the mountain and it was the big castle? That was the castle of Skanderbeg. So there was a link to Skanderbeg and religion as well, particularly
yes, of course.
Christianity, wasn't it?
Yes, because till in 17th century, to say, all Albanians were Catholic monks. After the death of Skanderbeg and when the Ottomans came here and they stayed for 500 years, the Albanians were obligated in one way to say to convert into Muslims.
In Colombia or Italy, do you have someone that would be comparable to a Skanderbeg, a national hero, so to say?
Yeah, we have Simon Bolivar, which is the person who fought all the wars. But he's also a hero in Venezuela. He was actually Venezuelan, but
I think all the countries has a hero, because a hero is a symbol of identity of every country. And they, if don't have a hero, they just create a hero. The go on.
Who's the hero of our country?
I think Australia.
It's me.
But Australia is different because we're still technically part of the British colony, so I think our identity is a little bit different. We don't have that national hero like you have, or you might have in Colombia.
We also have a much shorter history, I think, which is a big part of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a shorter, wider. That's why Europe is so interesting for us, because that history is so deep and so ingrained, whereas, I mean, there obviously is a deep Australian history, but it's a little bit different to our history. Yeah.
Well, all these battles happened before the Australia that we know ever existed.
Yeah.
So our Australia is only 300 years old.
I heard also that there was a descendant of Skanderbeg named
Sophia,
who's in Australia.
Yes, it is one of them.
Did you start that rumor?
Yeah, Alexandra is a descendant of Skanderbeg.
Yes, it was, but not for sure, because the historians didn't knew her. I don't know, but maybe it is real, maybe not.
So there's no proven link that
no,
she's a descendant. Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
Maybe she is.
Maybe we've met her.
Maybe you are. I don't know.
Or maybe the difference between like the history of Albania with, for example, Australia or even like Colombia, is that like the old people that used to live here keep mixing up with the rest of the population, and that's why you have like a sort of continuous history. Whereas, for example, Australia, you say that it's a 150-year-old country, but before they had a population that is one of the oldest in Earth. It's just that the British came and kind of
eradicated them.
So So it's not that
It's a
Australia is
different kind
new,
of
it's just
history,
that
yeah.
when they came, they destroyed the culture, and the same thing
Yeah.
happened in the US. It's not that they have a new history, just that when the British arrived, they killed all the civilization that were already there, but if they had mixed stuff with the rest of the
But this
population,
history is more continuous.
they would have a continuous.
They still acknowledge the history before the modern Albania
Yeah.
as part of their history.
Yeah, whereas
Whereas
we
the-
don't. For example, in the US or in South America, we have a very old civilization, and it's like, no, the country is like 500 years old, but we don't count like the old history.
Albanians are very proud to be Albanian. So no matter where they move in the world, they're always first and foremost Albanian. You know, I'm Albanian American, I'm Albanian Italian. And the idea that you would ever renounce your Albanianism is like crazy. Whereas where we come from, you have people from all over the world moving to a new place, forming a new identity. So they're always fighting for being able to call themselves Australian or Canadian or American. So it really creates a different attitude towards your culture and your nationality based on your own personal history.
It is because Albanians have suffered all the time.
Exactly.
And to be Albanians.
They've had to fight for their right to be Albanian for so long.
And maybe that's the reason that we are proud to be Albanians. 67% of Albania, it is Muslim today. But they are not fanatic Muslims. They are by tradition. To say 90% of these 67%, they never have been to a mosque. So we are by tradition never see. If you go in one city, in Albania, you have to find the Orthodox Church, the Catholic Church, and the mosque, because the Albanians want to show that we are tolerant with each other. We never see each other from the religion. If you have to marry a Catholic man with a Muslim girl, there is no problem in Albania. We don't see. We are Albanians. You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So that's the lesson about Skanderbeg concluded. So make sure you study this because you'll all need to remember it for our trivia game show, okay?
As much fun as it is to hang out with my family, I needed a little bit of a break from being oh so knowledgeable. So next, I wanted to explore Lezhë, find some expats who live there. And that's exactly what I did.
So since I'm here in Lezhë, I thought I really had to find some of the expat community that are residing here. And oh look, I found some people. So I'm going to just ask a few questions about what they're doing here, what life in Lezhë is like, and why they've come here. So welcome, thank you for joining me. Maybe first if you'd just like to introduce yourself a little bit.
I'm Gordon Thompson.
And I'm Ann Thompson.
Hi,
Gordon.
welcome.
That's my husband and wife
Husband and wife, right?
for 30 years.
Wow, that's a long time. And what brings you to Albania?
Well, we first came to Albania. We sponsored a boy here, and one of the letters he'd said it was his dream to meet us, and so here we are. And we decided to eventually just come and live here.
So when you say you sponsor a child, tell me a little bit about what that means and how that works.
It was writing letters, sending pictures, just sending maybe some English books, helping him with the English, and for school.
And so how long were you communicating with him before you decided to move here?
Since he was 5, he's 12 years old now.
Wow.
But we first came to meet him 4 years. Before that, it was always letters, back and forward, back and forward. And then when he said it was his dream to meet us and he wanted to go to the beach with us. So we came and we went to the beach in Shenzhen, and we bonded very quickly with him and his whole family. So we have a whole new big extended family now here in Albania. We stayed with him for 2 weeks, had a fabulous time, and then we were back many times. And then last year we just thought, you know, everyone's upset when we're going home, we're upset when we're going home, why don't we just make Albania home?
So how many times have you travelled to Albania before you decided to make the move?
Last year we were here 4 times.
4 times in 1 year?
I was here 5 times last year and was here 4.
What was your family's reaction when you told them that you were packing up and moving here?
They couldn't believe it. They were kind of, Albania? You're really going to Albania?
And you'd been travelling for quite some years regularly?
Oh, yes. So we've been in Japan, Caribbean, Africa, been all sorts of places, but none of the, we've enjoyed everywhere and everywhere's been beautiful, but none of them felt like home, but Albania just felt like home.
Being in Lezhë, it's quite a small town, so I'm assuming that pretty much everybody in town knows you and who you are and recognises you in the street.
Yes. They don't know us by name, but
some do, but
they come up. More people know Anne.
You get to know people pretty fast. I used to kind of think, why are you looking at me? But they're just curious. You don't feel threatened by the looks, or they'll come up to you and they'll stare at you, but it's just curiosity. So I just kind of gave a friendly wave or said hello, and they would speak to you. But yeah, everybody wants to learn how you're here and know a bit about you, don't.
Can I ask, where was home before here?
Just outside Glasgow, on the west coast of Scotland.
Do you have any sort of interesting stories, any sort of moments in time that sort of stick out as, oh, that was a bit different, that was a bit strange?
Yes, go to Malot, the farmer's market.
Go to the farmer's market at Malot on a Sunday morning.
Right.
It's very hard to explain. It's they've got animals.
It's like walking through a zoo.
You'll see people driving with their car and their car's going because they have a lamb or a pig or a goat in their boot.
Okay.
You'll see people with bags hanging out the window. That's a piglet.
Right.
You can take chickens on the bus.
We find it quite difficult to comprehend as well how low the wages are compared to what they were in the UK.
Yep.
When we still go out for a meal or a coffee or a beer, you still look at you get the bill and you go,
it's nothing.
It's ridiculous. It really is. And I'm quite fortunate that I've come across here and I'm basically still being paid UK wages. So it doesn't just help us, it helps the whole family.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do, is help them, because they've taken us in and taken us to their heart. So if we can do what we can to help them out, because they don't have a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And this is something we hear quite often, sometimes spoken with some animosity, that, oh, you foreigners, you come here and you have all this money and you just live the high life. But there's the inverse of that as well. It's that the money's being taken from developed countries and put back into this economy, which
definitely
has an effect, you know.
Yes.
Particularly in a smaller town like Lezhë. You know, do you see yourselves as making a positive contribution to society here? Is that your aim?
I would like to think so, yes.
And do you sense any sort of animosity towards what you're doing? No. So generally, people appreciate.
None whatsoever.
Never felt
the opposite,
anything.
in fact.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not out. We're not out splashing money about and trying to be something that we're not anyway, sort of thing. We like to try and help. We're adopted family, as I say, and that's why I'm still working. That's why I took up the offer and thought, well, we bought the apartment, we sold our house, so what we've come out here now to do is help them out.
And so you've spent some time travelling around Albania as well.
Oh yes.
What is your favourite place?
Oh, I love Britain.
What advice would you give to other foreigners, be it expats looking to move here or just tourists looking to come here? What advice would you give them for their first trip to Albania?
Just do it. Just do it. Enjoy it.
Just do it. Come, enjoy it. Meet the people. They're probably amongst the friendliest people anywhere that we've ever been in the world.
Yeah, don't feel threatened about coming if someone approaches you. It's they just want to speak to you. They want to know all about you. They're very curious and they will offer you to go to their home, but they only want to show you hospitality. They want to give you food, drink, have a raki, have a nice time. So, yeah.
And homemade raki's the best.
Yeah, everybody's grandfather makes the best raki, right? How incredible is their story? There really are just some amazing, wonderful people in the world. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was lovely to meet you.
It was nice.
And yeah.
Thank you.
That's it. It's all over. It's done. Feeling inspired once again to continue exploring, I meet back up with my sisters and their men, and we head out of Lezhë.
Wanting them to experience more, see more, and meet some more local people, we headed out to a small village near Lezhë called Krain, where I had heard about a family who are really passionate about pottery. I had so much fun carpet weaving that I wanted them to experience the opportunity to partake in some Albanian handicrafts too.
Okay, so I also heard about a place that actually makes ceramic artwork here in Lezhë. So I've been lucky enough to bring my family here so that we can try our hand at some pottery. Yes, pottery. We're going to see if we can make some vases or something like that and also check out what the people do here in Lezhë. So let's go have a look.
Përshëndetje.
Alexandra jam.
Unë jam Vasili.
Gëzohem.
Nisem vjen.
Faleminderit.
My sister was very interested to talk to the pottery master. Lucky for her, though her partner is Australian, he has Italian roots, and as such, they found a common tongue for their discussions.
So where do you source your clay from?
L'ho trovato qui, proprio nel mio villaggio. Ho visto dove facevano le tegole nel tempo e quindi ho preso l'argilla e in queste vasche qua poi faccio la depurazione.
So he found the clay locally, so he saw other people finding materials.
Yep.
So he got a machine and began to source his own and uses the pools.
E questo l'ho fatto per due motivi. Prima, qua non c'è industria per l'argilla, quindi, e poi il costo di trasporto, se io lo prendo all'estero, costa molto. Quindi ho studiato come la facevano gli antichi, l'argilla, senza industria, e poi l'ho praticato.
So he said there was two reasons why he began working here. A, there wasn't a market for it, and B, the price of bringing it here was too high. So he studied the ancient ways, the antique ways to do it, and then developed it himself.
After finding out how he became passionate for the ceramic arts, it was time for a demonstration.
Makes it look so easy.
Kjo është procesi kyç në ceramik. Është formimi nga balta në një enë.
It's a typical form of the Balkan style.
Është teknik shumë e lashtë, shumë e vjetër.
It's a really old technique that he's using.
Mbi 6.000 vjeçare, si punim kanë gjetë vazo në Egjipt. Kanë datu 6.000 vjet.
It's like a 6,000-year-old technique from Egypt.
Dhe çdo lëvizje e duarve, gishtave, e kret, është po ajo që do thotë është 1000 vjeçare si zanat, si tani bëhet stakimi kur objekti është i marrum, kjo është.
Wow, so shpejt.
Once the piece of pottery is created, it's passed over to his wife for decorating.
And so, what are you painting now?
Unë po pikturoj tani një pllak që është prej ceramike me motivet shqiptare dhe jam pothuajse gati në gjysmën e punës. Është për disi edhe pse duket si shqipon, por me një lloj stili i lirë, do thoja antik, që brenda saj ka gjithë ngjyrat që bën pjesë tek kultura shqiptare.
Thinking it looked pretty easy, we all decided to give it a bit of a try.
So for someone who used to do my art homework, you weren't very good at that.
Well, it's a lot harder than it looks. You need a lot of patience. You need to be very steady with your hands. I think she's doing an amazing job.
I'm actually really surprised because you look at something like that and it looks like anyone could do that.
And then you should just colour in the lines.
It's a lot harder than it looks.
It's a lot harder.
With a newly found greater appreciation of the work, a few items are selected for purchase. These should make some pretty good souvenirs for back home.
If anyone wants to buy me a piggy bank, I do need one. What are you going to put in it? Like that one. Well, when I eventually get money, I'll put money in it. Yes!
They're very cute. They're very cute.
My savings account. You laugh, but it's true.
You can save.
Yeah, if I have one of these.
We've had a great day here at the pottery farm, making some ceramics and finding out how to paint and everything. And my sisters actually found something that they wanted to buy. What did you get?
It's a beautiful tile with a traditional kind of pattern design on it. I really love it. I think it's beautiful.
And it's painted much better than she was able to do, which is important.
True, it's true.
And you got what I wanted, so I'm pretty sure this is a gift for me.
A piggy bank, because you need to save your euros and your lek and your dollars.
So thank you so much. Oh, that's for me, right?
For you.
Yay, I have a peek now. Awesome. What did you think? It was a good day?
It was a great day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Very
it was
unique.
really nice. We learned a lot of history. We got to meet some lovely people. It was great.
And
Awesome.
got to participate in the culture.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed today. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for my pig. I'm gonna be rich now. All right, shall we head back to Tirana?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Back in Tirana, my master plan begins to be unveiled. How much did my family members really learn about Albania, its history, and most importantly, Skanderbeg during their time in Lezhë? I decided to set up a game show-style quiz to find out. There are a bunch of rounds of questions, and whoever loses has to drink some local raki. I pretty much make the point system up as I go, so I can be sure to capture every individual's raki face on camera. But for those of you playing at home, just give yourselves 1 point for each correct answer.
Okay, so for round one, it's an introduction to Skanderbeg. So these are your most basic questions for today. And for that reason, you get 1 point for each correct answer. So, team names. We need some team names, first of all.
Sebastian.
Team Sebastian.
Team name, oh, sorry.
Team Skanderbeg.
Okay.
Can we be Team Skanderbeg?
Sure.
Okay, well, we'll be
Team Teddy Bear.
Team Teddy Bear.
Okay, Team Skanderbeg versus Team Teddy Bear. Question number one. What is the full name of Albania's national hero?
George Castrioti.
In what year was he born?
1405.
Wow!
Reaction, faster reaction times.
Where was he buried?
Teddy Bear. In Lezhë.
Very good. You all went there and saw his tomb, guys.
We're not doing so well. I think we're going to be drunk by the end of this.
It's going to be fun. And what year did he die?
1468.
He's right. Yes, well done. Okay, you cleaned up. All right,
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
And I think you had all those answers on that list. We read that list.
So you did study, but
We just used his notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Faster.
We need to be quicker off the mark.
Okay, so
what happens?
who's going to enjoy the lovely beverage?
Do they get to choose?
No, you discuss it between the two of you. If
I
you
think
go
it's going to
half
be.
each-
It should be Sebastian.
Yeah.
So I have to drink both of them?
No,
Just one.
Okay. Like
Let's
straight
not
up?
go crazy. Not all of it.
Just have a sip. Just enjoy it. Savour the taste. You've got a lot of drinking ahead of you today.
Ooh, that's fun.
He likes it.
Okay, round number two. This is a name these things round. So you need to name different items, okay? Question number one. Name 3 places in Albania that relate to Skanderbeg.
Lezhë, Kruja, and Durrës. Durrës.
But I'm going to give you that because near Durrës at Cathedral there is a castle and some things about him there. So I'm going to give that one to you.
Name 3 countries outside of Albania where you can find a statue of the national hero. Oh, that was close.
Italy,
Maybe Macedonia?
North Macedonia now.
Moldova,
Yes.
Moldova,
And
Moldova.
Turkey.
Kosovo.
you have to say
Kosovo.
Yes.
Name 1 family member of Skanderbeg.
John Castrioti.
Good. All right.
How did you know that? Like, how did you know that?
Just a guess.
He's secretly been studying every day.
I feel like maybe you have.
Okay, and name 1 symbol of Skanderbeg.
The goat's head helmet.
The goat's head helmet. Well done. And that means Can Teddy Bear one again?
Yes!
So, what's the deal, guys?
Cara, it's on you.
Really? Share the responsibility.
You sure you don't want more? So strong.
No pressure.
No pressure, just 6 people watching you and 2 cameras. All right, anyway, round 3, true or false. You have a 50% chance of getting each of these questions right, no matter what. Number 1, Skanderbeg was the eldest child of his father. Yes.
False.
Very good, it is false. All right.
He was the youngest.
He was the youngest, because the youngest is always the best. Skanderbeg has 3 brothers.
True.
Bravo. Skanderbeg was kidnapped by the Ottomans. True. It is true. Well done. Skanderbeg was actually of Serbian descent.
False.
False. Very much false. Skanderbeg was 9 years old when he left Albania.
True.
It is true. Well done. I think you meant to wait until I finished the question.
No,
he's just
absolutely not.
right in there.
Why? Because if I know the answer without the whole question, that's actually probably a bonus point.
Yeah, we should get a bonus point.
For being so
I don't
quick.
know.
It's being intuitive and having a good understanding of Skanderbeg and where the question is leading to.
But teacher Lexi says, excuse me, I'm speaking, and while I'm speaking, you need to be listening.
I am listening. Listening so well, I know what you're going to say.
All right, moving on to round 4.
No, we need the rock.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the whole
Sebastian's just like, damn!
Well, since there's only half left, I think you should both have to do it.
I actually think that Sebastian is purposely trying to lose this.
Yeah, I think so too. He has all of the answers. I think he just wants to drink raki.
And he likes raki.
I'm not as fast as them too.
Yeah. Maybe you need to drink more and then you'll be faster.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
Maybe you'll be slow.
Drink more raki to speed up.
Cheers, everybody.
Hey, raki a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
Well, they surprised me. Sebastian came really prepared with notes, but still couldn't answer a question to save his life. But all in all, they learned a lot about Skanderbeg and Raki during their trip.
Tell me, who is the national hero of Australia?
Teddy Bear. Ned Kelly.
Nope.
But we don't really have a national hero.
There was one that we determined on that day in Lezhë.
Oh, Teddy Bear. Steve Irwin. The crocodile hunter himself.
Come on, guys.
I thought it was Ned Kelly.
Who else could it be?
Teddy Bear. Mick Dundee.
The Robin Hood.
Obviously, the answer is Alexandra Lewis.
Please.
So I get a bonus point for that.
And we all have to have Rocky?
Yeah, and you all have to drink for not getting that.
Cheers to our national hero.
Yeah, cheers to our national hero.
You're welcome to be in my presence.
It's way too early for this. It's a good game while you're winning.
All right.
Yeah, I prefer winning.
There are no words to explain how it feels having my family visit, see my new home, and share in my Albanian experiences. They seem to really enjoy their time here. They're now more informed about the history and culture of the place I live, and even got to participate in creating this show to help the rest of the world become aware of all the great things there is to know about Albania. After these days with my family, all of a sudden, I'm starting to feel a little less like an alien.